Hi, I'm Marcel, and welcome to me screaming into the void, mostly about books. For this library haul, I had the prompts Mood at the Library, where I just picked a random book that I felt like reading, and Random Letter Fiction. The wheel said the letter F. So for Random Letter Fiction, I read Emilio Freya, Sevastopol, which the blurb states is directly inspired by Sevastopol Sketches by Leo Tolstoy. So I read that as well, sort of to really immerse myself in the book. And I am kind of sad that I did, in some sense. This book is fine. It's a series of 3 stories. But the problem is that making the connection with Sevastopol Sketches by Leo Tolstoy really does give this book a disservice. And the whole reason why I'm even talking about this book, because I'm trying to only talk about books that I have something to say about, is the fact that I would really much recommend everyone to read Sevastopol Sketches instead. Because the problem that I got with these 3 stories is that they don't really have anything to do with one another. All are set in the city of all of the stories are set in Sao Paulo, and they are rather modern. But the problem with that is doing the comparison again with Sevastopol Sketches by Leo Tolstoy. So Leo Tolstoy was a journalist during the Crimea War and was in Sevastopol during the Sevastopol siege. And what he did with the Sevastopol Sketches is create 3 short stories that aren't directly connected with one another, but are indirectly connected by being stories from everyday people, so not soldiers directly, and how they were handling the siege of Sevastopol. So while the stories themselves weren't interconnected, they still had this framework of interconnectedness, which this book is very much lacking. And that's what I mean with the comparison being in a disservice for this book, because I think I probably would have enjoyed more if I didn't constantly compare it to Sevastopol Sketches by Leo Tolstoy. And my second book was, of course, Mood at the Library. And this is the book I picked. It's The Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. And it's about Kaiko, who is not explicitly said being autistic, but very much being coded autistic, who lives in Japan and works at a convenience store at the tender age of 36. And this is a problem for everyone around her, because being 36 and working in a convenience store isn't really done. So what to then do with Kaiko, the very coded autistic woman? Now, one of the things that I ended up quite enjoying about the book, but which I know I could have very easily not enjoyed about the book, that is, regardless of if you're thinking about autistic people or people with autism, every person with that diagnosis will be more than their diagnosis. They will have had other influences in their upbringing. They will have different types of temperament. They will be more than just a form of diagnosis. And Kaiko in this book isn't. She is just autism. But it didn't bother me because I felt like this book is more a book about ideas. It's a book about the idea of autism and someone with autism sort of coming into conflict with the idea of a good life within the Japanese culture and the Japanese understanding of what it is to have a good life. And this is very much highlighted by one of the other characters in the book. It's a man who is called Shiraha, and he is hikikomori. And hikikomori are the men who are very angry and bitter on the world and is gradually pulling away from society and literally hiding inside their own apartments or their own rooms. They don't really go out and interact with society. So here you sort of see two ideas of how people end up, some by birth, some by happenstance, and how that sort of puts a wrench in the idea of what is a good life within the Japanese culture. Sayaka Murata is a great writer. It's not a very thick book, but she writes very humorously. There is no sort of wagging finger telling one side that they are doing it wrong. It's more just these are the ideas. What do we think about it? So a very brilliant way of writing books about ideas. So I absolutely loved this book.
Okay.
And that was my haul. And next month, I am going to go and find the book that was least borrowed and one of the books they've had the longest. And thank you for listening to me screaming into the void.